Hello Spartans, welcome to a tutorial. This picture here is where we're headed. We are in Adobe Photoshop. We are going to make a mock-up website layout for our opening web page, and we're going to use Photoshop to do that. And then we are going to then use the slice tool to divide up all the different parts of this web page. That is going to be in a couple videos from now. In fact, this entire project will be shown through several how-to videos, starting with this one. Okay, so we're going to start from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and close this up, and I'm going to go to File, New. First thing you're going to want to do is call this Layout Template, and we're going to use the Web preset. Choose the 800 by 600 setting and click OK. Now we're going to go ahead and build up our directory with our folders, and so we'll do this by starting out with the save as rather. And let's see, I'll go ahead and save this to my desktop. So I'll first click desktop. You're going to go to your username, your 5-digit number, of course. I'm going to click into Dreamweaver here, and I'm going to call this one last name, and you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to do PS layout. So you're going to use your own last name, of course. And I'm going to click return, and then I'm going to double click to open and save it in another folder. I'm going to create another folder called assets. Okay, so all our Photoshop files will be saved into the assets folder, and we'll click save. Alright, next thing you're going to do is bring up the rulers. Control R to show those. Control R will also make those disappear. First, make sure you are using pixels. You might have inches first, but go ahead and right click up here in the rulers, change that to pixels. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drag out some guidelines. I'm going to first expand my window, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and drag one out to the 700 and the 600 and the 500, the 400, 300, and the 220 mark. Okay, so you see that the first notch is 210, then 220. Now, you might notice that my guidelines are black. There is a way to do that. You might want to just hold off on trying that, but there is a way to do that through preferences. You can change the color. Okay, it's not necessary, but that's something I wanted to do. Alright, we're done with the vertical lines. Now I'm going to drag out some horizontal lines. I'm going to bring this down to the 550 mark. I'm going to also bring one down to the 100 mark. Okay. So up here is the header, down here is the footer, and then we've got one column and then two columns. So it's going to be a two-column layout. And this area right through here is going to be where the logo sits, okay, from 0 to 300. All right. The next step is creating a gradient for our background, and I would like you to choose the two colors from that, and I have one right now. The way to do that is click on that gradient editor, click on your color stops, and then make that decision by color, clicking on color. I like these two colors, so I'm just going to keep these, and I'm going to say OK, and then I'm just going to drag a straight line down. Now you have an option to go the other way, or you can go diagonally. It's up to you. I like top down. Okay, so that's our background, and now I'm going to go ahead and add a layer. We're going to call this footer. Okay. And so we're going to direct our attention to the bottom portion here. I'm going to take the marquee tool, and that's letter M on the keyboard, and I'm going to simply drag out a selection in this bottom area. You can see my marching ants here. Alright. From there, I'm going to take that same gradient and I'm just going to make a slight adjustment here. Okay, I'm just going to drag it across. Just get more of that blue section below. Okay, I'm going to do Control D. And I'm going to take the Type tool, and now I'm going to click below in that footer area. So once I click on the canvas, it creates its own type layer, as you can see up there, or you can see that in the Layers palette. And let's see, I'm going to call this, or I'm going to type in copyright. Now, this happens to be in all caps right now because of my old settings, but I do not want all caps. And let's see. Well, you know what? For now, we'll just keep it as is. Or not. Alright, let me check the settings here in the character palette and see what's going on. It might be because of the stencil. That's possible. So I'm going to double click and change the font. Okay, let's see what Tiger looks like. Ah, that's a nice one. Alright, so I'm going to move the copyright over to the left here. It might be a little bit too big, but I'll adjust that later. Next thing I'm going to do is the year, 2013. And I'm going to put the name of my website. Right now I'm just going to put website, so you'll have to think of your own name. And then I'll put all rights reserved. So that's kind of the standard expression you see usually on a footer. Okay, and I'm just going to shorten that up a little bit and move that over. Okay, looks pretty good. And now I'm going to put my cursor in front of that year, and now I'm going to drag out a shape. The shape is over in the underneath the rectangle tool. You want to come down to the custom shape tool, and in that custom shape tool you will find in this generated list, you will find the letter C there, that C shape for copyright, and just simply come out in between here and drag out that shape. Try to hold the shift key so that way you maintain that proportion. Okay, the color is a little weird, so I'm going to change that right now. Change that to that purple color. And I can do the same thing for the font. And there we go. Perfect. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double click the type layer, and that will bring up the layer style. So I want to just add a little drop shadow on there. Nothing too dramatic, and I'll click OK. I'll do the same thing on the shape layer. Just highlight the drop shadow, and you see how it just knocks that in. Alright, now I'm going to select these three layers. Okay, let me move that up here so you can see it better. I'm going to select these three layers, highlight them. You can hold Control down to do it. Don't select the background, and then right click and choose Convert to Smart Object. The reason why you want to do that, well, a couple reasons. One, you want to sort of keep it into a nice compact view, so we're going to go footer. But another reason is when you double click that thumbnail, you will get an editing document that allows you, what it does is it expands those layers again back to those original three layers, and if you need to, you can always change that color, that font family, whatever you want to do, and save it. Once you save it, you can close that up and it will change it in your master document here. So that's a nice feature. Okay. From this point, I am going to now go into the header. So I want to add a layer, call this header, and I'll do the same thing. I'll just take those ants using the marquee tool, have that selected. I'm going to go back to my gradient, and I will go ahead and select, create that little gradient again. This time I want it to have more of a purple effect more than that blue-green effect. Okay, I'm going to deselect by doing Control D, and I'm going to save this and click OK to maximize the compatibility. I'm going to minimize the window, and then I'm going to create a new document. This one is going to be called Navigation Button Template. Okay, so we're going to create our navigation buttons. We're going to do 200 by 200. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and drag out some guidelines. This one's going to be now on the 20 and the 180. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And then I'm going to drag this down to the 40. I believe that's the 40. Yep, there it is. If you zoom in a little bit more, then you'll be able to see those numbers. And this will be at the 160 mark. Okay. Remember, pause the video if you feel I'm going too fast. That's the advantage of having a video. Now, I'm going to create a button. I'm going to use this rounded rectangle inside that same shape tool. Okay. I'm going to keep the radius at 10, and I'm going to go ahead and drag out a shape and just sort of lock it into that area that we made with the guidelines. Okay. Above that, I'm going to use the type tool, and I'm going to type in the following word: home. Now it's too small, so I'm going to go ahead and double click thumbnail, make it a little bit larger, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my cursor and drag that upwards. Okay, and then I'll just use my move tool, drag it down. Okay, from this point I'm just going to give it some color, one more interesting color. We'll use this purple color. And, you know, maybe this yellow isn't the right color, but, you know, I can always change it. But first I'm going to go ahead and add a drop shadow to the text. And I believe I'm going to just go ahead and use the emboss, bevel and emboss. I'm going to click OK. And I think I'll add that bevel and emboss to the button as well. It's kind of a cool effect. And I'll click OK. And one more. I'll just add a drop shadow to the button as well. Now I'm going to take off visibility from the background so I see that I just have those transparent pixels there. I'm going to save. I'm going to save it to my assets folder, don't forget, and click OK for format options. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and shrink that window up a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and get my other document. Okay, so maximize the other one. So we want to see both files at the same time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two layers from the button. I'm just going to drag over the button. Okay, obviously it's too big, but we're going to have to format that and transform it down. I'm going to close the navigation button template. It's already saved, and I'm going to go ahead and do Control T and move that over to the 200-300 area. Okay, hold down Option and Shift so that it locks in nicely. And let me zoom in here. Okay, what I don't want is it to fit right on the lines. I want there to be a little bit of space on both sides and below. I'm going to hit Return to Apply. I'm then going to take those two layers, right click, and do the same thing, Convert to Smart Object. You notice I didn't include the header. You don't want to include the header when you do that. Okay, I'm going to right click and convert to actually I'm going to do a new Smart Object via copy. What that does is it does a direct copy, but it allows me to change the name. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to open up this Smart Object and change the name to Photoshop. And the word Photoshop is too big, so I'll just sort of shorten that up. And I like it. I'm going to save it, close it, and there you have it. What you're going to want to do is add 3 more buttons. Okay, that concludes the first part of our layout project. Hope you join me for the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.